All right, guys, today is Tuesday, October 2nd. It is a brand new day in the market. We just wrapped up our morning of trading, and let's go over what we have done so far. It's been a pretty crazy day, a pretty sporadic day would be a good word to put it, right? Sporadic in the way that we have this stock moving, then we have this stock moving, then we have this stock moving. We are seeing a lot of plays rip. But the problem is we're not seeing all the plays kind of rip in a strong manner. It's more about quick spike and then they hit resistance and fall. Then we have a quick spike and they hit resistance and fall. And this stock goes on a quick spike and it hits resistance and fall. We've had a lot of activity, but the same problem that we had as yesterday is that we're not breaking through resistance, right? I always give you guys that example. If we have 100 people in the stock market, what do we really want? When we have the majority of the people, the mob, all on one play, that's when you see the biggest breakouts. That's when you see the biggest rips. That's when you see the biggest pops. That's when you see the biggest spikes. The majority all on the same play. Now we have out of 100 people, 20 people over on VTVT, 20 people over on OGEN, 20 people are on IGC, 20 people on SLS. It's very spread out right now. And that's why we're not seeing all these stocks go on a nice breakout, all these stocks go on a nice run. Let's talk about the trades that I got into today. Let's talk about the top gainers. Let's go over my trades, why I got in on them. And let's go over all the top gainers and figure out why they became top gainers. Best thing to do every single day. And I suggest you guys do it every day at lunch or at the end of the day. Figure out what makes the top gainer run. Learn the characteristics so you can apply it to new top gainers. And you guys can figure out what it is going to go on a nice spike in the future. So starting off, let's go over my trades. So the first trade I had was LEVB. Now, LEVB, did I want to trade this stock? Did I want to get in on this play? No. This was a complete accident. This is a complete rookie mistake. It was just a bad, irresponsible trade by me. And why is that? Because I was looking at LEVB, I was looking at, I apologize, OGEN. I had OGEN on this chart. I had OGEN on this chart, and I was trying to buy OGEN where? Right here, right? And I thought OGEN, this stock OGEN was moving on up, and LEVB was moving on up, and I thought OGEN was in on this play, so I bought 1,000 shares, and I thought I was on OGEN, and then next thing I know, I'm looking, and I'm like, why is my profit not going up? Because OGEN was climbing, and I looked, and I saw LEVB. Immediately, what did I do? I clicked sell market, and I had to take a $149 loss. I didn't even mean to buy LEVB today. This was a complete accident. You guys saw me in chat say, what is going on? They're like, why is the stock not ripping? And all of a sudden, I look, I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. This probably happens maybe like twice a year to me, where I'm looking around. And that's a kind of a little bit of a problem when we have so many stocks spiking. If you're in a rush sometimes, you can make little silly mistakes. I made a little silly mistake today. I tried to buy OGEN, and I didn't realize LEVB was typed in on my platform. I had 1,000 shares, clicked market buy, because that's how I usually buy my plays. I just click market order in, thinking I was in on OGEN, and then I noticed the stock was climbing, but my profit was not. And I'm saying, what's going on? At the time I realized LEVB, I was down $149, and then I just got out right away. I'm happy I only had 1,000 shares, but it was just a silly little stupid mistake. And then what did I do? Then I headed over to OGEN. Headed over to OGEN, then I made back most of that profit. I could have made, again, a lot more. I made $133, but mistake, and I end up losing 149 here. So I lost 149 because I thought I was in on LEVB. Once I realized I wasn't in on LEVB, I got out of it. Or once I realized I was in on LEVB and not OGEN, I got out of LEVB, hopped in on OGEN, and then I made 133 bucks. Right? Now let's talk about, why did I want to get in on OGEN? Why did I want to, hop in on this play? Why did I want to, get in on this stock? And I got in on this stock at the price. We can look at my P&L right here. OGEN. Let's see where it is. OGEN. I got in at 288. So I got in at 288 over on OGEN at this time. And that was right here before the stock started going on this ginormous rip. That's when the stock was going on this ginormous rip. I wanted to try to get lower, but the stock was going on this nice rip, nice climb, and ripped all the way up towards around 325. Now, I did not hold all the way up to 325. I was in at 288, and I got out right around 295 with 2,000 shares. So OGEN right here, this stock was going on a nice pop, nice play. Why did I like this stock? Why did I think this stock was a great ripper? Why do I think this stock was a great climber? Well, this was a stock we've been looking at the whole entire day, as you guys know. This was a stock that we even sent out in our morning newsletter, and it was a stock that we were ready for. The stock did go on a nice U-shaped pattern if we want to break this down, but I actually want to read for our morning newsletter really quickly what we have to give you guys a nice little briefing about it. So what we had this morning on this play was OGEN. Unwatched this morning as this 4 million in float stock is up 18% this morning in pre-market. This stock is a previous top gainer, which can bring in great volume as it gained 39% yesterday after breaking through its 200-day moving average. The next strong resistance line is 445, which is the previous spiking high. Or it was 245. Then it has room to go all the way up to 445 today. So OGEN, let's break this down, start to finish. OGEN, we notice that this stock has a gap up, right? We notice that this stock has a very nice gap up today. It's had a nice gap up the last 2 days. It broke through its 200-day moving average. It started with resistance right around 245, which we talked about right here, but it really broke through right through 245. So we have a gap up from a stock breaking through the 200-day moving average from 2 strong green days. The stock ran up to where? 245. Why 245? Because the stock has previous resistance right at 245 back on March 30th. The stock made a beautiful U-shaped pattern, nice U-shaped pattern breakout, broke 245, spiked all the way up towards around this 280 mark, right? Now we can move we can put a resistance line up towards 280. And if we want to get rid of this bottom line, we can see that we have an uptrend starting to develop. So we have our top resistance because it ran up to 280. That's where it fell. We have an uptrend starting to develop. And now we can start putting the stock into an ascending triangle pattern. The stock has higher lows building an ascending triangle pattern. Top resistance up at 280, got stuffed here, got stuffed here, got stuffed here for the moment. At the corner, we got our great squeeze. That's where I entered this play. The stock got a great squeeze, went on a nice pop. Again, why did I lock in my profits early on OGEN? Why didn't I hold out to 325? Why did I lock in next to $3 resistance? That's because I was just trying to make my profit back from LEVB. And again, LEVB, this stock was spiking, and that's why I was up on my broker before, because I was thinking about a possible entry, but I would have gotten in too late on LEVB, and that's why I was up on my broker. And then OGEN is the stock I wanted to get into, but I was just being silly and didn't change my broker to OGEN. That's why I hopped in thinking I was in on OGEN when I was really in on LEVB. Got out of LEB, hopped back in on OGEN, got in a little bit later than what I wanted, but the stock, was able to run up towards around that $3 mark for me to basically make my money back, and then I'm, starting fresh on the day. But OGN, I could have actually made a good amount of money, probably upwards around $400, upwards around $500 if I kept holding my 2,000 shares all the way up to 325. Now OGN, it's having a pullback and is now starting to consolidate. OGEN, we can kind of see our new support line is right around this 290 mark. OGEN, this stock is having a great spike, consolidation, and is basically forming a channel. We're in a channel between 290 and 325. This could easily break out maybe before lunch hours, maybe around 11:45, or if it can't break out before lunch hours, definitely a stock we want to watch maybe around like 145 or so, 145, 215. This could definitely have its next leg on up. OGN is up 90%. This could go on a nice rip. This could go on a nice climb. This could go on a nice pop. It is something I want you guys to definitely focus on over on OGEN the rest of the day. We have a nice spike off a U-shaped breakout pattern. An ascending triangle pattern forms. Stock popped on up, got inside a channel, holding its gains, and now moving on up. It's consolidating. It's resetting. It's basically making this 90%, hold up as its support, and now it can continue to move on up from here. So OGN is a stock I want you guys focusing on. It's a stock I want you guys watching the rest of the day, and this could easily climb. We could have a big swing trade on this overnight, and it could continue to move on up. What do we have? We have a nice solid green day, gap up. Nice solid green day, gap up. Pretty big, green day right now, which could lead towards that end of the day spike, which could lead to a giant gap up. What does it remind me a little bit about a little bit? It kind of reminds me a little bit of AWX. Solid little green day, gap up. Solid little green day, gap up. Solid little green day, gap up. Big green day, massive gap up, and then again the stock went red. But if we swing trade the stock over on NEVB and we have this massive gap up, that's absolutely awesome. Or not on NEVB, excuse me, on OGEN. That could be absolutely great. So OGEN could be a nice gap up. It also reminds me, as you already heard, NBEV. If we look at NBEV right here, you can see, nice little green day, gap up. Nice little green day, gap up. Nice little green day, gap up. Big green day, big gap up, and then it goes red. So if we wake up tomorrow and OGEN has a big gap up, most likely it will go red following, what the patterns have been in the past. But OGEN, this could be a nice swing trade tonight, especially if it finishes off strong, maybe a little bit higher, maybe up towards around 325, 350, get a nice afternoon rip. We'll see. It's definitely one we want to keep on watch. So OGEN, that's the stock we definitely want to look at. Then after that, guys, what else did we trade today? VTVT. Again, going over to my broker right here, you guys can see I've had a trade on VTVT today, up $150 on VTVT. So even with my dumb little mistake on LEVB, thinking I was on OGEN, I made my money back on OGEN, $16 short. Then I traded VTVT, and now I'm, up about $132 on the day, $133 on the day. So I'm up in profit. I'm up over $100 on the day. Could have been a little bit more, as you guys know. And I still have funds for this afternoon if I want to look for an OGEN swing, which I'm thinking about. So I may be doing that, and that'll be my real money maker. But why did I want VTVT? What did I look right here on VTVT? What was I looking at? Why did I get in on this play? What's the credibility? Well, VTVT came out with a press release October 2nd at 6:10. So this came out at 6:10 this morning, and it came out with an 8K. And if you guys looked, we have Mac Andrews and Forbes, the investor, purchased 1.8 million shares at the price of 133. So what do we have here? We have Mac Andrews and Forbes. Again, we all know Forbes, something very well known, purchasing shares, 1.8 million shares. And that is where we definitely see a lot of, good attention towards VTVT. It's got on a very nice rip. It's got on a very nice pop. And why is that? Because we have an investor buying all these shares. Now, if we see an offering or if we see some sort of acquired price, that's when the stock doesn't do anything. Because there's sometimes we see, okay, this stock was acquired at $1.33 per share. And that's when we don't touch it because it's not worth more than $1.33 per share. Or if there's an offering, let's say at $1.33 per share, then we don't ever want to buy it above $1.33 per share because that's, all it's worth. But if we have investors just purchasing shares at $1.33, it could definitely go higher than that, right? It could definitely go on a big time rip. That's what we always like to look for. We like to look for well-known names, well-known people, billionaires investing on companies, because that's when we could get the biggest runs. That's when we could get the biggest pops. That's when we could get the biggest climbs. So like, for instance, one of the first ones I ever remember back in my trading career was VLTC. VLTC, I got to probably scroll back to like 2015. And this was, I remember, like one of the first like real big investors, because this was, 3 years ago now. VLTC was, no, that was not even it. It was 2014. Here it is. So this is a while. This was like in my early trading career. Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn bought 1 million shares of VLLT. And if you guys don't know who Carl Icahn is, he's a billionaire investor. So he bought like 1 million shares of VLTC, and this stock went all the way from $2, and he bought at like $1.73, and this stock went from $2 all the way up towards $22 just because he invested into it. So VLTC went absolutely bananas, $2 all the way up to $22 because a billionaire is investing into it. And then I remember 2 years ago, Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers went on some crazy rip and run. Again, Weight Watchers, look how much is this? This is $105 per share now. 2 years ago, this was all the way back down to like $18. It's going to be tough to see right here, but you see this gap up? You see how it went from like $13 and then it ran all the way up towards like $19 right here? That was because Oprah was like, hey, I'm, buying Weight Watchers. I'm invested into Weight Watchers. And then everyone went crazy. Everyone's like, well, if Oprah's doing it, well, then I'm doing it. And then, Weight Watchers just has been slowly progressing ever since the power of Oprah got behind it. So, having some of these big names could definitely make these stocks run and rip. So what's kind of like our big name here? Like we have VTVT, we have Forbes. Like Forbes is very good. Now, Forbes obviously isn't a person. That's a company. But it's still, you guys can kind of get that same idea. It's something that well known, and that could definitely lead towards a lot of, pops and climbs on VTVT. It's already gone on such a great climb and a great spike. But I just want you guys to always understand the credibility behind these plays. VTVT, the credibility behind this on why the stock went on a nice rip, why the stock went on a nice climb. OGEN, why the stock is climbing, why the stock is ripping. Again, OGEN reminds me a little bit of NBEV and a little bit of AWX. Right now, we're having a pullback. It's cracked its $3 or 290 mark, so we can't really do anything right now. We'll see if the stock is still swing worthy this afternoon. VTVT, we'll keep this one on watch to see if this one could ever break this top resistance line. Where at around 170, back above 165 is where hype will start moving back in again. So VTVT has the buyers. So we got VTVT buyers, OGEN, great chart pattern setup, breaking the moving averages and looking like two previous top gainers, recent top gainers, AWX and NBEV. And then last but not least, we also have IGEC. And IGC has just been an absolute beast as well, as this is kind of doing the same exact thing as OGEN has been doing. Gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day. It's the same exact thing NBEV's been doing. Gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day. It was the same exact thing AWX has been doing. Back here, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, until we usually have that giant gap up, which kills it. And IGC has just been doing that very consistently. Gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, gap up Green Day, and this has just been doing very, very well. Now, IGC could be a great swing overnight as well, where this could be opening up plus $15. $15 plus. Right now it's at $13.40. So IGC has a lot of big time potential. IGC has been going off like the weed plays. We all know TLRY went from $50 all the way up to $300, and this has just not ever left that hype. Obviously, the main concern is IGC is completely overbought, but it just has so much good momentum, has so much good hype in this thing. If it ever, goes parabolic, like this thing hasn't even gone parabolic yet, IGC. IGC is more of a slow, mover. It doesn't really go on any sort of straight up runs. You can see it's more a little bit more consistent, where the stock, will go from $10 up towards like 11, come back down towards, a 25-cent drop, go on a nice pop. I mean, even this is a pretty big pop for it. 1360 back down to 1240, trying to make a U-shaped pattern. $14 back down to 1337. Right now is probably the most volume, most activity we've had on IGC. That's a very fast moving level 2. It wasn't as fast moving when it was down here, but right now, again, a lot more traders towards it, a lot more eyes towards it. So we'll see where IGC is going to close at. That's a possible swing overnight as well. It is very overbought. I definitely get that, but it's the same concept of like NBEV. Big Green Day, big gap up, and that's when it's usually over. Usually after the big gap up is when the stock, it kills itself. So IGC, if we get a big gap up, maybe up towards like $16 tomorrow, that's probably where it's going to be over. That's where the thing's going to be done. AWX, climb, 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 big gap up, that's where it's usually over. NBEV, you got, climb, 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 big gap up, that's where it's usually over. So, I mean, these are just some plays I'm looking at. OGEN, if this can finish off strong, big gap up, that's where it'll be over. So IGC, OGEN, these are the two stocks I'm looking for swinging tonight. VTVT, I'm keeping this one on watch just to see if it's going to be able to pop on up, back up through the 170 mark, and obviously we'll go from there. But so far today, guys, it's another great day of profits, and it's another great day of winning. And I'm very excited for all the traders that have been able to make money. I haven't even been able to check out profits chat. What do we got? OGEN, VTV, OGEN, $825. $100 right here, 211, 270, 240, 150, 186, quick 85, 190 on paper, not bad though. 520, 298, some nice profit right here, 182. So again, nice little profit, 3,400 on Burrow. Shout out to you, buddy. So, I mean, that's absolutely great. You guys, again, saw my trades. My first one, my silly mistake was LEVB, lost $150. After that, because I didn't even mean to get into that trade, I went over to OGEN, made my money back, $133, and then I had my other trade on VTVT where I made $149. So I'm a little up over $100, $130, $140 plus on the day. But, I am looking for probably a swing trade overnight, which will hopefully boost me up even more. But this is my first day of trading in October. So I'm happy to be on the green side, up over $100. Again, not much, but hey, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes we take things for granted, and that's something I never want to do. Again, I always try to stay humble with myself. I always try to stay grounded with myself, and I always say to myself, hey, what did you used to do? I used to, in the summers, I lifeguarded for a while. I also worked at a fat camp where I would like repel kids down a cliff, and being, back in like high school and stuff when I was not, very much of a big guy at all. Like I was one of those late bloomer dudes that didn't hit like puberty until he was like 19, 20. I'm repelling, a little bit of a heavier people was not the best time of my life. Also in the winter, again, I was snow tubing pusher, I guess you would say. I would sit on top of a freezing mountain, for about 10 hours a day and just push people down on snow tubes. People blowing snow on me throughout the whole entire day. And I was making $8 an hour for that. Middle of January, 10 o'clock at night, they would close, sitting on top of a mountain just with, 6 layers on. At the end of the 10-hour shift, $80. And after taxes, making like $67. Right here, I've been sitting in the comfort of my house. I've been able to make 3 different trades and I'm up, over $100 on the day. Is it again, life changing over $100? No, it's not. But I'm making money, I'm having fun, and again, I'm able to teach you guys, and I'm making more money than I would be out, in the freezing cold, and I'm in my pajamas right now. So that's such the beauty of stock trading, being your own boss, making your own salary. Again, last month I was up over $12,000. The previous month's over $10,000. So one small green day, I'm happy with it. So one small green day kicking off my October, I'm happy with it. But the perks of trading, absolutely beautiful. You don't got to get dressed up. You can wake up, roll out of bed. You're already at work, no commute. Make your own hours, make your own salary, be your own boss. It does not get any better than this, guys. So let's see what comes up, this afternoon on these plays. But most likely, I'm going to be sitting back until the afternoon for my next round of trades, and we'll go from there. But right now, again, pretty solid, very exciting stuff, and awesome job for everyone who made some nice profit today. Enjoy it.